Good evening, Professor. I am doing my video presentation over the Wells Fargo account fraud scandal that began back in 2016. Now, the reason behind this scandal was executives set unrealistic quotas for their employees to meet. Eventually, many of these employees began to create fraudulent accounts. They set up pre-existing accounts by actual customers onto all these payment plans, online payment plans that these customers didn't even know about. They put them on these payment plans without their consent. I believe this is an ethical issue because of several reasons. The executives should have known that these quotas could not have been made in time. Still, I don't believe that these employees should have done what they did. They should not have created all these fake accounts. They should not have put pre-existing accounts by real customers onto payment plans just to meet their quotas. I still remember when this scandal took place. It just showed me that companies and banks and businesses are still untrustworthy and scandalous. The scandal really damaged the reputation of Wells Fargo, and their reputation today is still very tarnished. They're still recovering. Even today, the numbers that they thought that they would have to pay off and the numbers of accounts that were affected were way off. Now many of the numbers that they came up with back in 2016 are probably doubled or tripled now. They have to pay a lot more money to refund their customers. I believe several 100,000 more accounts were affected than previously thought. Personally, I find this scandal to be one of the worst in the past 5 years because of how bad it affected their customers and how many people were actually affected by this. And honestly, the Wells Fargo was one of the few banks that came out of the 2008 recession on a good note, and this just completely ruined their reputation and everything. And I believe it relates to the material because this is just a really bad ethical dilemma that they were faced with, which could have been completely avoided. They should have been thinking of the greater good. They should have been thinking about the customers. However, the executives nor primarily the employees were not thinking of the greater good for their customers. Originally thought they only had to pay $3.3 million to refund their customers. Now the number is up to $6.1 million for all the unauthorized accounts. So most of their customers were faced with fees that they didn't even know about because of all these unauthorized accounts that were created. And I believe that this could have been handled completely differently than the way the company handled this. First off, I believe the executives should not have set such high quotas for their employees to make. This ultimately led to the entire scandal. I don't think that the executives should set any quotas because it could lead to things like these in any business, I believe. And secondly, this could have been completely avoided by all of the employees, even though the quotas were set really high. Personally, I would not have created fake accounts. You always got to think what is morally right. You always got to do what is morally good. You can't just create fake accounts in this case, because, you know, it could lead to a massive scandal that could completely tarnish the reputation of your company. And going back to the numbers that they previously thought, which are now incorrect, over 500,000 accounts were improperly enrolled into online pay, and they are now refunding them over $900,000. You know, the $6 million for refunding all of the accounts that were affected is up from $3 million back in 2016. And in total, over 190,000 accounts were slapped with unnecessary fees, as opposed to the number back in 2016 that was at 130,000. Now, this is probably one of the biggest scandals to hit a bank in recent years, and I believe that all of this could have been completely avoided if the executives and the employees acted morally and pretty much didn't do what they did. Now, I still remember when this occurred, and I'm surprised to see that it is still affecting the company, and that a lot of these numbers have changed drastically since 2016, and they are nearly all of the numbers that I found for the refund amount and accounts affected have pretty much been doubled. And that is pretty much all that I have read. It was good to find out all this information that I previously did not know. I already knew a lot about this topic, but now I learned a lot more. And thank you. And